So, if you're thinking to yourself, this looks really familiar, that's because you probably just came from my 2025 Techo, and this is quite literally the exact same clip. I just kept on yapping, basically. Hello. So, this video is specifically a deep dive into how I've set up my 2025 hobonichi weeks. So, in case you missed my 2024 Techo, I did start using a hobonichi weeks in 2024, and this was kind of like I just want to test the waters, see what the hype is all about kind of thing. And oh my gosh, do I understand the hype now. I will say it is like partially that I think that there's always like a right time, right place for certain journals, and that as your life grows and changes and morphs, your journaling system will do so as well. That's why I think people planner hop all the time. Your life is changing. The way that you need to plan and record your life changes as you move through the seasons of your life. And so for me, when I gave the 2024 Hobonichi weeks a try, it was a perfect fit. I needed something that was going to keep me organized in my life, but at the same time be quite low commitment. I had been bullet journaling to some extent for the years before. I had used some planners, a little bit of bullet journaling, like I said, and a little bit of just like writing down things in one notebook and it not working. But this past year, I needed one journal to hold a lot of things, whether that was work events, birthdays, to dos, keeping track of when I had to do certain chores. And that just so happened to fit perfectly with the Hobonichi weeks. And I will go more into the setup and how I set up every single week, but without a doubt, I was so surprised at how versatile it could be despite it being a pre set up planner. I think my hesitation with a lot of planners, like the Hobonichi Weeks, any Hobonichi system basically, is that it is pre set up. And so you are, in a sense, restricted to what you are given in those pages. But in joining the planner community and seeing how everyone else uses their Hobonichis and other planner systems, pre-made planner systems, it became clear to me that despite there being preset up pages, there was still a lot of freedom and flexibility in how you set up your page. It just so happened that I don't have to do too much editing to my Hobonichi weeks. Like the way that it's set up right now is I do very minimal setup for each week as well as the back pages, but I definitely understand now how people gravitate towards that despite not wanting to be restricted by any one journal. Anyway, all of that is to say, I am super duper excited to introduce you all to my 2025 Hobonichi weeks. It is the One Piece special edition, and I did, in fact, wait until October just to get the One Piece one. I recently started watching One Piece because of the live action, and I got totally into the franchise. As you may have seen in my 2024 Techo, like I am using the Hobonichi A6 covers that were released for One Piece for other journals. I am just obsessed. So I am so happy that I was able to get my hands on the Luffy edition of the Hobonichi weeks. And without further ado, let's dive in to what it looks like on the inside and how I've set up my Hobonichi weeks for 2025. Okay, so we are doing it. We're doing my 2025 Hobonichi weeks. Flip through, just showing you all some basic stuff that I've done to set it up. And I'm going to go through section by section and explain how I use the Hobonichi. And if there's something that's blank, but I can show you what I did last year or technically this year in 2024, I'm going to pull out my 2024 Hobonichi. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, I do have a bunch of stickers here in the pocket, and you'll see why these stickers are relevant in a moment. But I also have the Midori index clips because I use that to mark certain pages for my Hobonichi. And I prefer to use the ones that are fresh from the pack because they tend not to be too stretched out, and because Hobonichi paper is so thin, you really need it to not be stretched out at all. I don't use this page. Now, I do use this page, and obviously I haven't filled out anything, but this is how I track my cycle. Basically just using dots and trying to record the amount of time between each cycle. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. You can probably imagine it, but this is how I keep track of it. It's very, very handy when I have to go to the doctors or something. So then we move on to the monthly calendar. This is how I do my calendars. It's how I did my calendar last year. It's very, very simple. I just use some sort of icon to signify that there's something happening that day. What that thing is depends on the icon, of course. But I use these stickers from Randy Dot Plans. I use most of her stickers for everything. To signify things. So, for example, holidays, get a star, paydays, money bag. And then I started using these colored dots because I ran out of other dots to signify birthdays. And so I've gone ahead and pre-filled in basically any major holidays where I get a day off and all of the birthdays of loved ones and friends. Nothing terribly exciting. I refer to this at the beginning of the month and throughout each week so that I'm on track of major events. So now we're moving into the weeklies. And if I haven't shown these before, I think I have shown these before, but if I haven't, this is basically what almost every single week looks like. So on the left-hand page, I have major events. So for example, this week I've got an appointment at the DMV, and then I have a holiday, Christmas. I don't celebrate, but I'm going to be observing it, so I thought I would mark it down. And then I have on the right page, this is where a lot of the writing goes, if not like all of the writing. So I section it out into 3 different parts. The first part will be chores. The second is miscellaneous to-dos that are not necessarily chores, but things I just come up with and want to do during the week or need to do during the week. And then errands at the bottom. I've adjusted these section sizes to basically fit what my needs are. I found that having these the same size is not really necessary. I don't do a lot of errands generally. I try to do everything all at once so I don't have to go out very often. And then I do a lot of chores and a lot of other miscellaneous to do during the week. So I found that making those sections bigger was a lot more helpful for me. And I just use stickers to decorate the pages, and I try to coordinate the pens I use, the highlighters, with the stickers that I use. And yeah, I've really been liking this. It's been keeping my life together, and I foresee it keeping my life together in 2025 as well. So now that we've gone through the weeklies, we can go to the back pages. In the back pages, I need to show you guys something because this is like so funny to me. Okay, literally, I was so freaking excited for my 2025 Hobonichi weeks that I went and I planned what was going to be in the back. So when it came in the mail, I sat down and I opened this page in my 2024 Hobonichi weeks and I was like, all right, plan's there. Now we got to execute. So here is the execution basically. So the first page is my adulting log, and I believe this was adapted from Lindsay Scribbles. Basically, I just write down the date and the tasks so I can reference, okay, when was the last time I cleaned the laundry machine? When was the last time I changed my toothbrush head? That kind of thing. That has been super duper helpful. You can always see like how much time has elapsed and when it's just about time to do something again. And I've dedicated about 4 pages to the adulting log. The next thing that I have in the back here is my TV shows watched log. I tried to do this last year and I failed miserably. Now, I watched a lot more TV shows than this throughout 2024, but as you can see, like as the year started going on, it became evident that I wasn't going to have enough space for all the TV shows that I was watching, so I kind of lost steam and lost motivation. And so I gave this spread 2 pages in the hopes that I actually do keep track of everything. And also I simplified it. I'm only going to be writing down the rating. I'm not going to be writing down like when I finished it or anything. I just want to log what I watched and how I felt about it. And then the same thing for movies. I just gave this a page. I think that I maybe should have also given it 2 pages because recently my partner and I have implemented Sunday movie nights, and we watch at least 2 movies on Sundays to like prepare me for the work week. But you know, you live and you learn. I'll know for my 2026 hobonichi weeks if this needs 2 pages. And of course, my concerts log, that hasn't changed. Although now I'm just writing down the date, the headline, and the openers. I do not care for writing down all that other stuff. I did not write down all that other stuff in 2024 or 2023. So what's the point? And then lastly, we have my reading log. This one is very exciting. I think I also laid out 4 pages for this. Yeah. So there are 4 pages in total for this, and I expect that to be just the right amount because this is my current reading log for my 2024 journal, and I'm about to put some books on the back page here. But 2024 overall was a very slow reading year for me. I am not reading nearly as much as I have in previous years. I'm hoping to ramp that up next year now that like my life is settling down a bit. But this is about 90 books read. So if I read more than 100 books, I will at least need 3 pages. So I made 4 pages in 2025 just in case I decide to go above and beyond my reading goal of 100 books. And of course, I had to write down a wish list. I've been keeping bookish wish lists in the back of my hobonichi for the past few months. It's really helped me with my spending when it comes to books because it's kind of like a list of things that I'm allowed to get when I go to the bookstore. These are titles that I've seen people talk about, heard people talk about, and they interest me in one way or another, or I think I'm going to enjoy them. It stopped me from buying a lot of books that I wasn't really interested in. So I'm going to try to stick to this wish list. I'm going to try to stick to, oh boy, I put 4 pages. Hopefully I don't fill out 4 pages, but I'm going to try to stick to what I write down here, trying to keep it very informed when I do want something, so that I can control my spending. I also wrote down basically an archive of all of the ebooks and audiobooks that I have yet to listen to. I have to update this because I did buy a whole bunch of audiobooks for the Libro FM sale. But basically, I just want to knock all of these out and keep track of which ones I'm finishing. It's so much harder to keep track of which audiobooks and ebooks I finished because of the fact that they're not physical. They live in my phone or in my Kindle. So having this list and being able to tangibly cross things off, I think will really help me keep track of how big my collections are getting. And last but not least, a couple of wish lists. I started collecting CDs quite a while ago. I've always been a CD listener. I've always had a CD player in my home, but I've really been intentional about collecting CDs in the past 3 or 4 years, particularly because my car also now has a CD player. So it's been really nice to just pop it in. And I've also gotten a CD burner recently. So I've been able to like make playlists and put them on the CDs and then play those playlists instead of just playing an album. And it's been so nice to just physically own music rather than having it on a streaming platform because streaming platforms are not permanent technically. Like, I don't know, someone could delete my account one day and I could lose all of my playlists, but I will forever have my CD playlist. I will forever have my albums on CD. So I've continued that addiction and I have a list of albums that I want. Additionally, video games. I did get back into playing more video games this year, which is why I haven't been reading as much. I'm trying to find that balance. But there are a lot of video games that have just like caught my eye that I really want to try. And so they live here. Okay. I think, Okay, so the last page that I wanted to show y'all was the 365 checkoff sheet. This is what I intend to use to track how many days I read in a year. And that it doesn't matter if I read audiobook, ebook, physical book. If I read a book at all, I'm going to mark off this page. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing this whole page filled up. I've been pretty good, even though I haven't been reading as much. I've been reading some every single day. So I'm hoping that that keeps up and I will be able to fill out this page completely. But yeah, that is it for my Hobonichi Weeks tour for 2025. I am super excited to use this. As you can tell, I actually will be starting to use this in the second to last week of December, I believe, or the last week of December. I'm just so excited. I can't put off using it any longer. Thank you all for listening to me very excitedly ramble about how I've set up this journal. I know that people have been like de-influencing and whatnot when it comes to things like the Hobonichi Weeks or Traveler's Notebook. And trust me, I am also anti-consumerism. But at the same time, I think that it should be celebrated when you do find a planner that works for you. Might not be the cheapest option. It might not be the most feasible for everyone. But if it works for you and you're able to afford it, I don't think that you should be shamed for it. So this is my Hobonichi Weeks. I'm going to be using Hobonichi Weeks for the foreseeable future. And I'm really, really glad that I got to share it with you all. So thank you all once again. I hope you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. And I'll see you next time. Bye.